The Dr. Ray Podcast is a co-production of Ave Maria Radio and EWTN Radio. Here's today's monologue with Dr. Ray Guarendi.
Yesterday, we kind of poked the hornet's nest, because I talked about what I thought was a controversial matter, given that so many parents call in, and it isn't just on this radio program, by the way, it's everywhere. So many parents who tried to raise their children in a faithful home have watched one or more of their children shun them, write them off, sometimes for years at a time. And I suggested, of course, considering, not my decision, but yours, considering how to handle your inheritance. You got a kid who's 40 years old and hasn't talked to you in 12 years, and you're going to give him a whole bunch of money? I don't understand that. But nevertheless, I brought that up, and immediately we got a flurry of calls. Well, something has happened just very recently. As a matter of fact, Teresa Tomio, my dear friend, and Andrew Kruchek, my producer man, sent me this information. I didn't know anything about it. It is absolutely one of the most frightening court adjudications that I've ever heard, if not the worst. Dr. Ray, what are you talking about? There's injustice all the time. Yes, there is. But this particular one, if it is chased, and I have no reason to believe it will not be, has opened a door that is going to ripple. No, it's not going to ripple. It's going to roar through parenting. The details are sketchy for what I read. I just read the articles. There's a young man who, in Michigan, was a school shooter, and 4 poor children were killed, and several more were injured on this young man. And I believe he was, if I get this right, sentenced. But his parents were also convicted of manslaughter. The thinking being they should have known that he was going to do this. They were pathetic parents, was the case made by the prosecutor. They were terrible, awful parents. They didn't see it coming. They should have seen it coming. They bought him a gun. He was sending off signals that he intended violence. And they and the school didn't take it as seriously as it turned out. Now, one might say, well, good. These parents need to pay more attention. They need to be better parents. All right, here's the problem with this. Who decides the line between poor parenting and absolutely pathetic parenting? How do you draw that line? I know on this program there are many of you who call in here, and you are good people from, my guess, you listen to Catholic media, and you're stunned by some of the things your kids have stumbled into, what they've done. You had no idea. And furthermore, with the internet misshaping their souls in every way but loose, the influence on their little psyches, on their conduct, on their social and emotional and moral well-being is intense. And you better not have a kid who does something horrific. Because if you do, we might just scrutinize all the ways you screwed up. And keeping in mind, it's the experts who are scrutinizing you now. I don't have a whole lot of faith in a lot of experts' ideas about parenting. I think they blow up in our faces. But they're the experts, and you just didn't do it right. You didn't discipline right. You didn't supervise right. You didn't communicate right. You were just a full-out failure. And because of this, your kid did something horrific. He went to a party, and you didn't know there was going to be alcohol at that party. Nevertheless, he went there, and he drank, he got in a car accident, and he killed somebody. And I had, by the way, a friend whose son did this. You responsible? Did you not supervise close enough? Oh, Dr. Ray, you're getting carried away now. Getting carried away. This family that they put on trial and they convicted has had a long history of being neglectful and unsupervising parents. Even if that's so, to say you are going to go to jail now for years because of this? This frightens me down to my toes. The implications of all this. Do you realize what it means? Don't mess it up, parents. Don't fail to predict something terrible your kid could do. Because somebody will come back and say, where were you? Why didn't you know? Why couldn't you anticipate it? Why couldn't you predict it? As an aside, I did a major analysis of psychologists being able to predict violence in an offender because they are often called to testify. After a review of all the studies, you know the predictive level of psychologists is flipping a coin. That's right, it's 50-50. So even the people that are supposed to be able to predict this stuff aren't very good at predicting it. Someone might say, well, that's an extreme case, Dr. A. This kid did an unbelievably horrific, awful thing. The parents had months and years of making stupid moves, and you see what happened. Yeah, okay, let's say that's true. Do you trust the system to say, okay, well, you know, maybe you weren't as bad as that, but you were bad enough? I get so many parents absolutely rocked by the things their kids have done, either underneath their nose or, in fact, were caught doing it. And these are decent parents. How many parents have said to me, I can't believe what my kid did with that smartphone? Yeah. Oh, but Dr. Ray didn't kill anybody. Okay, but what if? What if the parents weren't supervising the kid? And what if he drove drunk? Should they go to jail too? I am of the hope that this isn't going to go anywhere, but I don't have confidence it will not, because I believe it has set a frightening precedent. And one other thing while I'm at it. Who are the only ones who are really going to care? I think it's the better parents. And the better parents have a tendency to overthink and overanalyze. And all of that overthinking and overanalyzing and future projecting makes their parenting even worse. It does. You can't overthink parenting. It causes all kinds of problems. But if this makes parents overthink and parent tentatively and insecurely because they're so afraid of making mistakes that somehow, some way are going to be tied to something awful their kid does, that'll just make them be even more insecure. And more insecurity raises the odds of having kids do stuff that you don't want them to do. In every way, at every angle, this just is a frightening precedent. And I know there are people who think, no, those parents should be held accountable. I know law enforcement people who think that. They don't realize the implications. We already have laws on the books about abuse and neglect, and you have to establish it. How do you establish something as vague as you didn't parent well enough, you didn't supervise well enough? That's not possible. That's a major judgment call, and even at that, even if you make the judgment they didn't, you can put them in jail for it?
More of Dr. Ray's Monologues can be found on his website, drray.com. Monologues, as well as full-length programs of The Doctor Is In, can be heard at AveMariaRadio.net and EWTN.com/radio.